Prevent and Safeguarding. What you need to know. What will this video cover? The Prevent duty, which reflects the Counter-Terrorism and Security Act of 2015, as well as key topics such as contest, channel, safeguarding, and we will investigate different types of abuse. We will also look at e-safety tips for keeping yourself safe when using the internet and internet-enabled devices. The Prevent duty, the Counter-Terrorism and Security Act of 2015. All delegates and staff have a responsibility to undertake training, to be aware of when it's appropriate to refer concerns to the designated safeguarding lead, and to exemplify British values of democracy, rule of law, individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance for those with different faiths and beliefs. Contest. Contest is the government's counter-terrorism strategy, published in July 2006 and most recently refreshed in 2011. The aim of the strategy is to reduce the risk from international terrorism so that people can go about their lives freely and with confidence. Contest has 4 strands, often referred to as the 4 Ps. The aim of the 4 Ps are: pursue, to stop terrorist attacks through disruption, investigation and detection; prevent, to stop people becoming terrorists or supporting violent extremism; protect, to strengthen against terrorist attacks including borders, utilities, transport infrastructure and crowded places; prepare, when an attack cannot be stopped, to mitigate its impact. Now let's discover some definitions for these key areas. What is extremism? The government has defined extremism as vocal or active opposition to fundamental British values, including democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance of different faiths and beliefs. This also includes calls for the death of members of the British Armed Forces. What is terrorism? An action which endangers or causes serious violence to a person or people. An action which causes serious damage to property or seriously interferes or disrupts an electronic system. The use of threat must be designed to influence the government or to intimidate the public and is made for the purpose of advancing a political, religious, or ideological cause. What is radicalization? The process by which a person comes to support terrorism and forms of extremism leading to terrorism. What are British values? British values are defined as democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance for those with different faiths and beliefs. Prevent. Prevent is about stopping people becoming terrorists or supporting violent extremism. The long-term solution to the threat faced by the UK from domestic or international terrorism is not just about more effective policing. It's about tackling factors that can cause people to become drawn into violent extremism and empowering individuals and communities to stand up to violent extremists. Prevent is not about singling out one particular group. It's about addressing the real threats to the security of our country. There are many different violent extremist groups that can cause potential harm and conflict. So, how does someone first start to become involved in extremist activity? They may have previously shown no signs at all of identifying with an extremist or terrorist cause. The answer lies in a person's vulnerability. Certain factors, whether emotional or something external, can prompt someone to set out on this journey. Examples of emotional factors include confusion, loss of identity or belonging, sense of injustice, anger, isolation, and many more. Examples of external factors include peer pressure, media, especially social, desire for political change or unrest, substance misuse or mental health issues, family or friends' involvement in extremism, and many more. Channel. Channel is an early intervention, multi-agency process designed to safeguard vulnerable people from being drawn into violent extremist or terrorist behavior. Channel is designed to work with individuals of any age who are at risk of being exploited by extremist or terrorist ideologies. The process is shaped around the circumstances of each person and can provide support for any form of radicalization or personal vulnerabilities. How does Channel work, and what does a Channel support package look like? Each Channel panel is chaired by a local authority, bringing together a range of multi-agency partners to collectively assess the risk and decide whether a support package is needed. If the group feels an individual is suitable for Channel, it will look to develop a package of support that is bespoke to them. Channel interventions are then delivered through local partners and specialist agencies. The support may focus on an individual's vulnerabilities such as health, education, employment, or housing. Each support package is tailored to the person and their particular circumstances. A person will always be informed first if it is felt they would benefit from Channel support. The process is entirely voluntary, and consent is needed before taking part in the process, which is then carefully managed by the Channel panel. Safeguarding. Safeguarding means recognizing the needs, well-being and safety of all delegates and staff, and ensuring actions relating to this are in line with legislations, recommendations and guidelines. WDR have a duty to safeguard and promote the well-being of children, young people and adults. Local authorities have overarching responsibility for safeguarding children, young people and vulnerable adults in their area. However, protecting these individuals from harm is everyone's responsibility. Everyone who comes into contact with children and families has a role to play. Now let's look at what constitutes abuse and how you can recognize what is and what isn't abusive behavior. The first form of abuse we will look at is the sexual exploitation of children, young people and vulnerable adults. Sexual abuse and exploitation includes both touching and non-touching activity. This applies to children, young people and vulnerable adults who are deemed as being unable to legally consent to sexual activity because of a mental disorder. Examples of touching activity include touching a child, young person's or vulnerable adult's genitals or private parts for sexual pleasure, or making such an individual touch someone else's genitals, play sexual games or have sex by putting objects or body parts into the vagina, mouth or anus. Some non-touching activities with a child, young person or vulnerable adult include showing them pornography or photographing them in sexual poses, deliberately exposing an adult's genitals to them or encouraging them to watch or hear sexual acts, inappropriately watching them undress or use the bathroom. Another form of abuse is neglect. As the most common form of abuse, neglect is the ongoing failure to meet a child's, young person's or vulnerable adult's basic needs. These needs can include hunger, clothing, hygiene and sanitation, shelter, provisions, medical and healthcare. These individuals will often suffer other kinds of abuse alongside neglect. Neglect can be incredibly difficult to identify, making it hard for professionals to take early action to protect an individual. Having one of the signs shown here doesn't necessarily mean that someone is being neglected, but they can indicate a more serious problem. Forced marriage. Forced marriage is a marriage in which one or more parties is married without his or her consent, or against his or her will. A forced marriage differs from an arranged marriage, in which both parties consent to the assistance of their parents or a third party in identifying a spouse. Forced marriage is illegal in the UK under the Forced Marriage Civil Protection Act of 2007 and can lead to up to 5 years in prison. FGM, female circumcision and cutting. Across the globe, it's estimated that 125 million girls and women are survivors of female genital mutilation, or FGM. Most of these live in just 29 African and Middle Eastern countries, but it can be found in other regions such as Southeast Asia and across Europe, including the UK. The act of FGM is usually carried out on young girls between the ages of 8 to 15. In the UK, FGM has been a criminal offence since 1985 with the introduction of the Female Circumcision Act. In 2003, this was updated to the Female Genital Mutilation Act. Anyone caught participating in the act of FGM or transporting women abroad for FGM can be prosecuted and sentenced to 14 years in prison. There are many other forms of abuse, and as an educational provider, WDR are committed to keeping all of our clients, delegates and staff safe. Professional guidance and support can be obtained by contacting a member of our safeguarding team. E-safety and staying safe online. E-safety is in place not only for staying safe online, but also other electronic forms of communication, such as wireless technology and mobile phones or tablets. Its purpose is to safeguard all activity on electronic devices and the internet, as well as raising awareness on how to stay safe. Anybody could face potential risks and consequences whilst using these devices, no matter how careful they are. The internet is a huge part of learning which is mandatory for most workplaces, but it's important to consider the following risks that result in using it. Here are 5 examples of risks while using the internet. Viruses and spyware, phishing, fraud, copyright violation, being exposed to inappropriate content. In addition to the internet, it's incredibly important to use email safely and be cautious of sending and receiving email. Consider the following 3 points whilst using email. Never click on links or open any attachments from unknown or suspected fraudulent senders. Do not respond to or forward emails from unknown or suspected fraudulent senders. Report any scam emails and spam to the IT team, who will take appropriate action. If for any reason you are concerned for your own safety and welfare, or for the safety of another individual in the areas of safeguarding or prevent, please speak with your cohort coach or safeguarding lead. They will act upon your disclosure immediately by liaising with WDR's designated personnel. Thank you for watching. For more information on this subject, please visit wdr.co.uk.